The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So let's see, in terms of news, we no longer have Mutiny Market, so many thanks to Julie and Trevor for a wonderful year. And who knows, we might get back together next year. That would be wonderful if we could. And in terms of farmers markets, I'm down to one. And I will be at the Outpost Country Market every Sunday until the end of October in Golden. So the hours are from 9 to 2. Many thanks to Amanda and Stacy for having the event. It really has been a fun market so far. I used to do every other Sunday, but now I will be there every Sunday. So looking forward to it. And in other news, the Denver Public Library will be hosting their book sale. This time it's going to be at Eugene Field Branch. I love that branch. It's so cool. And I think the hours are from 10 until 2:30. I'm not sure. But if you just go to Denver Public Library's website, then you can get all the information. So hope to see you there. I will be volunteering as always. So it'll be a lot of fun. Rightio. So I've got three books to talk about today. So today's theme is all about weird, strange, and unusual women who are weird, but lovely all the same. And they're all in books too. So if you're ready, get some tea and let's begin. So the first book I just discovered by accident, and many thanks to Inglewood Public Library for having this book. But I just saw the spine and I thought, okay, this kind of intrigues me. Then I opened up the dust jacket and I went, okay, this really intrigues me. And if I remember correctly, I read it in one sitting. I had to get up to have dinner, but then I went right back to it and I finished it. Spooked me out so badly that while I was sitting in bed, I thought that something was coming out of the wall. Yeah, this is In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt. This was a delightful folk horror story set in New England. So let me read the dust jacket for you. Excuse me. Once upon a time, there was and there wasn't a woman who went to the woods. In this ingenious horror story set in colonial New England, a woman goes missing, or not missing. Perhaps she has fled, abandoned her family. Or perhaps she's been kidnapped and set loose to wander in the dense woods of the north. Alone and possibly lost, she meets another woman in the forest. Then everything changes. On a journey that will take her through a wolf-haunted wood, down a deep well, and onto a living ship made of human bones, our heroine is forced to confront her past and may find that the evil she flees has been inside her all along. Eerie and disturbing, In the House in the Dark of the Woods is a novel of psychological horror and suspense told in Laird Hunt's acclaimed lyrical prose. It is the story of a bewitching, a betrayal, a master huntress and her quarry. It is a story of anger, of oppression, of revenge and redemption. It is a story of a haunting, one that forms the bedrock of American mythology, told in a vivid voice you will never forget. And about the author, Laird Hunt is the author most recently of The Evening Road, which was a Financial Times of London Best Book of 2017. His previous novel, Never Home, was a New York Times Book Review Editor's Choice selection, an Indie Next selection, winner of the Grand Prix de Littérature Américaine and the Bridge Book Award, and a finalist for the Prix Féminin Étranger. He lives in Providence, Rhode Island, and teaches at Brown University. And let me just say, I said it before, I'll say it again. This book scared the ever-living shit out of me. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This scared the shit out of me. But the story and the way that the narrator tells the story, it almost felt like poetry or a song being sung. Just this grand epic story of what happened to this woman and the women that she encounters, who were all kind of under the same spell. Not sure. I did look at some of the reviews on Goodreads, and a lot of what other people were talking about, I thought, wow, did I just completely miss that? But then I thought about it and I was like, oh wait, no, they're right. I did pick up on it. Because it seemed to me that if you were a woman in colonial New England who was not good and not quiet, that you would be stolen, or you would find yourself drawn to the woods where someone was waiting for you, someone that told you, you're not like everyone else. Let's play a game. Only there are no rules, except I know what the rules are, and there are no winners or losers. You just stay until something causes you to no longer stay. I'm being evasive because I really don't want to give away a lot of the book, but it felt like I met this woman while camping, and she just appeared out of nowhere. And she has a haunted look, and she tells this story, and her voice is very sing-songy. And the more I'm listening, the more I'm caught up in her trance. And before long, I find out that I'm now a part of the story, but I really don't want to leave, or do I? This is a story that's kind of like a cautionary tale. It talks about when good Christian women go wrong, when good Christian women become wayward or witches or seductive or fighting back or showing emotion or being angry or being fearful or being anything but a quiet little mousy Christian woman. This book stayed with me for a while. I'm surprised I didn't have nightmares. There was nothing really gory about it, nothing where, it just wasn't a lot of gore, but the horror, the intensity, it crept its way into my mind, and it stayed there for a while. And like I said, I thought that things were coming out of my bedroom wall. So I already have a vivid imagination. Books like this just add grease to the fire. However, this is one of the best books I've read ever. Love the story. I love the voices. I love the different women. And I even love the one character, Red Boy, whom I kind of have an idea in my mind who that might be, but that's just me. I'm not going to give it away. All I can say is In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt needs to be read by anyone who enjoys a good folk horror story, any story set in colonial New England, any story dealing with witches, anybody who just likes a really well-told story. Very much you need to read this book, and it does receive 5 pots of witchy tea from Viridian Tea House. So Mr. Hunt, if you're watching, thank you so much. In fact, on my Instagram post about this book, I said, just finished reading this book and whoa. And that was that was the only reaction that I had because my brain was still processing. So yes, In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt. Go to your library, check out the book. If they don't have a copy, go to a bookstore, purchase it. Trust me, you're going to love it. You really will. So the second book dealing with weird, strange, and unusual women. This is a book that I read many years ago, and I remember that I devoured it in one sitting and loved it, but couldn't remember too much of the story. So this book comes to me from Denver Public Library, many thanks. And when I saw that they had it, I said, oh my gosh, I gotta check it out. I just want to read this book again. I read it in 2 sittings, but the story is gonna stay with me. This is Innocence by Jane Mendelsohn. This was a terrifying book, but in a sort of different way than In the House in the Woods in the Dark. This book gave me a little bit of a chill and a thrill, but it was no less disappointing. So let me read the dust jacket for you. In this mesmerizing follow-up to her best-selling novel, I Was Amelia Earhart, Jane Mendelsohn has written a powerful ode to the American teenager. A modern Gothic coming-of-age story, Innocence is at once a piercing and poetic exploration of the inner life of a teenage girl growing up in New York City, and a devastating X-ray of American culture. At the Manhattan private school where Beckett is the new girl, the beautiful girls are dying off in suicide pacts. Her boyfriend, Toby, is attacked in the bathroom of a coffee shop and winds up in a coma. Her widowed father takes up with the pretty school nurse, who Beckett slowly discovers is not what she seems. Not who, but what. Like Alice down the rabbit hole, Beckett finds herself in an incomprehensible universe where the line between reality and fantasy is razor thin, and where nobody believes her. As she moves from girl to woman, Beckett begins to see beauty and love in a sinister, dangerous world whose values of narcissism and youth threaten to claim her. In Innocence, Mendelsohn has written an utterly contemporary allegory about the precarious state of the American teenager in a culture that sucks the life force out of its young. In the compelling character of Beckett, she offers us an unforgettable young heroine whose insight and wit become her defense against the terror she faces, and whose story will resonate deeply with readers. Mendelsohn has created a world as startlingly original and hauntingly familiar as our dreams, a page-turner with the vividness of poetry and the immediacy of cinema. And about the author, her first novel, I Was Amelia Earhart, was a national bestseller and has been published in 15 languages. She lives in New York City with her husband and their daughter. Well, I really hope that Jane Mendelsohn has written more than these 2 books because she's quite the storyteller. I never read I Was Amelia Earhart, but I'm going to have to change that if one of the libraries has it. But this story about innocence, yeah, she took it in a way that I completely forgot about. And when I got to the other shoe dropping, I was like, oh, God, oh, that's brilliant. Another story that scared me in a different way, but I lapped this up like the finest cream. I love Beckett's voice. You see the world, or just New York City, through the eyes of this teenage girl who doesn't really fit in. And then when she starts to, that's when she sees that there's a curtain. And behind the curtain is not what she's going to expect. But I love the pacing of the story. Jane Mendelsohn, you don't feel like you're reading Jane Mendelsohn's words, but you're listening to Beckett, as though Beckett were writing this journal about this horror that is slowly but consistently descending upon her, and she can't get out. Or can she? I'm not going to give anything else away, but Innocence by Jane Mendelsohn does receive as well 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. This was an eerie, gothic, another cautionary tale that I loved. And if Jane Mendelsohn is watching this, I adore this book, and I hope that you're going to write more because you really are one talented storyteller. So many, many thanks. Thank you. So the final book is a fairy tale, and written by this author that I have loved for quite some time. This is Audrey Niffennegger's Raven Girl. I adored her book, The Time Traveler's Wife. And actually, one of her other books, The Three Incestuous Sisters, is upstairs in my bedroom, which, if you've not read that, I highly recommend it. It's a huge book, but you'll get through it in like maybe an hour or so, trust me. But this, Raven Girl, I've been wanting to read this for years, and I just didn't get around to it. So many thanks to Denver Public Library again for having a copy of this book. So let me read the desk jacket for you. Once there was a postman who fell in love with a raven. So begins the tale of a postman who encounters a fledgling raven while on the edge of his route and decides to bring her home. The unlikely couple falls in love and conceives a child, an extraordinary raven girl trapped in a human body. The raven girl feels imprisoned by her arms and legs and covets wings and the ability to fly. She reluctantly grows into a young woman until one day she meets an unorthodox doctor who is willing to change her. One of the world's most beloved storytellers has crafted a dark fairy tale full of wonderment and longing. Complete with Audrey Niffennegger's bewitching etchings, Raven Girl explores the bounds of transformation and possibility. And about her, the author, she is the author of the international bestsellers The Time Traveler's Wife and Her Fearful Symmetry, as well as the illustrated books The Three Incestuous Sisters, The Adventuress, and The Night Bookmobile. She lives in Chicago and London. So, out of her books, I have read The Time Traveler's Wife, The Three Incestuous Sisters, and The Adventuress, and The Night Bookmobile. So, her Fearful Symmetry is next. But let me show you some of the illustrations without giving away too much. Let's see. Yeah, like that. Hopefully there's not too much of a glare, but you can see. Her illustrations are so deliciously gothic. Kind of sort of in that same realm as Edward Gorey. I love, love, love Edward Gorey. But Audrey Niffennegger's illustrations, she can tell so much just with a picture. But I love the fairy tale. I love the story. There's a lot of symbolism, a lot of things where I was like, does that mean? I think it does. I'm just going to assume that it does. But very much a cautionary tale, very dark and spooky. There is love, a dark love, but overall, one amazing story. So Audrey Niffennegger's Raven Girl does receive another trifecta, 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. So all 3 of these books involving strange and unusual weird women have been amazing to read and to return to. So many thanks to Inglewood Public Library and Denver Public Library for having these books. Thank you. So moving on to the tea portion, this is one of my new blends. I talked about it a while ago, but I wanted to brew a cup for y'all today. And this is my Tea Witch blend. So my boyfriend calls me a tea witch. Several of my friends call me a tea witch because they think, how in the world can she make these blends and they taste so good and this and that? And I'm like, 2 years studying a Royalty Academy, but you call me a tea witch, I'll take that too. So the ingredients in the Tea Witch blend, it's chamomile, rose hips, and lemon balm. So it's very soothing. I didn't want anything that was going to be something that would keep you up until the middle of the night. Just something relaxing, soothing, perfect for a tea witch. I did not add any kind of sweetener to my cup, and I let it steep for about 7 to 8 minutes. I kind of let it go long when it's an herbal tisane. So from me to you, as we enter into another October, a cup of Tea Witch blend. So immediately I'm getting the haze sweetness of the chamomile. There's a little bit of the minty lemon balm, and then the rose hips just kind of round out that sweetness. But overall, this is a lovely cup to enjoy while reading a book or knitting or watching your favorite movie involving a really cool witch. It's just a nice tea to enjoy pretty much all day. I do have regular and sampler sizes of the Tea Witch blend for sale in my company, ViridianTeaCompany.com. And if you happen to see me at any future events, I will have this in stock. So that leads me to our tea and water meditation. Just going to focus on our breathing. You know the drill. Just make sure you have a cup of tea or a glass of water with you. And let's begin. Now let's end this breathing meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or allow your eyes to come back into focus. And now let's have a sip of your water or tea. That really is delicious. So that's all I have for today. Many thanks to the authors for their wonderfully strange and unusual books, for the people who have put on farmers markets all this year, because farmers market season is slowly wrapping up. I hope that all the farmers markets were very successful this year. And as always, to all of y'all for watching these videos, I really, really do appreciate it. So as always, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your witchy cup high, and remember that to drink tea is to enjoy life. I will see you guys really soon. Bye for now.